Hello students, this is Lokesh Saraswat. I am a biology teacher. Today I am going to start class 10th chapter 1st, life processes. In your daily life, you see many things in your surrounding like plants, animals, vehicles, table, chair, birds. We categorize them as living and non-living things. So as you know, living things are those which are alive and non-living things are those which are not alive. Instead of this, there are many functions which are performed by living things but not by non-living things. And what are these functions? We will study about it in detail. Excretion, performed by living but not by non-living beings. Excretion is the process of removal toxic or harmful elements from the body. Next one is movement. So students, as you know, living things need to move from place to place in search of food. They have to protect themselves from, they need shelter. For this, they move from one place to another. Plants. Plants are also living things, but their movement is quite different from the animals. It means plants' movement is growth dependent. Their roots grow inside the soil in search of water and minerals, and their shoot grows towards the sunlight. Both these movements are growth dependent, right? Next is growth. Living things grow in size, but non-living things are same as they are. Nutrition. Intake of food for getting energy so that they can survive. Living things reproduce. They produce their young ones of their own kinds, right? This function is not carried out by non-living things. Respiration, oxidation of food so that we can get energy. Next is sensitivity. Yes, in our surrounding we get many stimuli, and these stimuli are received by our sense organs. So as you can see here, these all functions are not carried out by non-living things, but this is carried out by living things. These all life functions are together called as life processes. First of all, I will explain nutrition. What is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of taking in food so that living organism can get energy. This energy is very important for the organs so that they can function well. Alright, we get energy from carbohydrates and fats, and these fats and carbohydrates comes from plants because we are herbivores, and plants prepare their own food as carbohydrate. They store this carbohydrate in the form of a starch in their leaves. Alright, nutrition. Now we are talking about mode of nutrition. So it is very simple. Nutrition is of two types. Number first is autotrophic nutrition, and the second one is heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. The word auto means self and trophic means nutrition. And this kind of nutrition which is found in the organism, these organisms are called autotrophs. As we know that green plants are called autotrophs. We have studied about the green plants and the photosynthesis in the previous classes. Now student, I'm dividing autotroph into two parts. Photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. It is very simple. Photo means light and chemo means chemicals. It means the organisms which use light energy to produce their food, they are called photoautotrophs, and the organisms which use chemicals to prepare their food, they are called chemoautotrophs. The examples are photoautotrophs, green plants, and here in chemoautotrophs, example are some bacteria. The word hetero means depending on others and troph means nutrition. It means the organisms which are dependent on other organisms for the food requirement, they are called heterotrophs, and this kind of nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition. Yes, heterotrophic nutrition is further divided into three parts: holozoic, saprophytic, and parasitic. Okay, holozoic nutrition. This is a kind of nutrition in which organism intake of food by the process called ingestion. Then this food is digested, and after digestion the food is absorbed in their body cells. This kind of nutrition is called holozoic nutrition, and this is very common nutrition which you can see in your surrounding, all the animals, human beings and birds. This kind of nutrition is found in them. Okay. Now saprophytic nutrition. The word sapro means rotten. It means these kind of organism obtain their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. These dead and decaying organic matter may be plant or animals. Okay. So examples are fungi. The last one is parasitic nutrition. So you have to know what are parasites. Parasites are those which obtain their food from other organism without killing them. And very common examples you have listened, right? Lice, leeches, and amarbale. It's a plant which is also called cuscuta. Okay, these are the examples. Lice which are found in the hair of human being, they suck the blood and they survive. Leeches are found in the coastal areas. They stick on the skin of human beings and suck the blood because they get their nutrition from the blood. And one more example is Plasmodium. So have you heard about Plasmodium? Plasmodium is also a parasite which is found in the mouth parts of female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, whenever mosquitoes pinches your skin, the parasite Plasmodium get into your blood and the person will suffer from malaria. I have told you, plants are not dependent on any other organisms. They are photosynthetic, or I have to say they are photoautotrophs. They prepare their own food and they supply this food for various organisms which are found on the earth. Even human beings also dependent on plants for their food. So the process by which they prepare their food, this is photosynthesis. So you know the definition of photosynthesis. You have learned this from your previous classes. Very simple it is. Plants prepare their own food with the help of sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, and with the help of chloroplast or chlorophyll, they prepare their food. In this process, they also produce oxygen as a byproduct, which is useful by all the living organisms for their survival, and a little amount of water vapor. They produce their food glucose, it means carbohydrate, which is stored as starch. What's the reaction of photosynthesis? Students, you have to know about the raw materials which is required by the plants during photosynthesis. What are these? So carbon dioxide and water are inorganic substances which are provided by the nature. Carbon dioxide from the environment and water from the soil. Solar energy is captured by chlorophyll, a green pigment. Chlorophyll trap the sunlight, and with the help of carbon dioxide and water molecules, they prepare their food as glucose, and they release oxygen in the environment and a little amount of water vapor. Yes, students. Now we will discuss nutrition in animals, which completes in 5 steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and ejection. So, ingestion simply means that taking the food inside the body, and digestion, the food which we have taken is complex. It must be converted into simple soluble substances with the help of several digestive juices and enzymes. Alright, when the food is digested and converted into simple soluble substances, it needs to be transferred to all the body parts and internal organs so that they can utilize the nutrients which are separated during the process of digestion. These nutrients are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, water, and roughage. In the process of absorption, the digested food or nutrients are transferred to all our body parts and internal organs. After the process of absorption, it is assimilation. Just ask a question to yourself: why we have taken this food? We have taken this food for getting energy and maintenance. The food which is transferred to all the body parts and organs, that they are made up of cells. So each cell will utilize this digested food for further cell division, repairing of injured cells, and production of new cells, growth, development. This process is called assimilation. After the assimilation, the undigested food which has separated after the process of digestion needs to be thrown out from the body, and this process is called ejection. We will discuss nutrition in amoeba. We have chosen amoeba for nutrition because amoeba is a very simple animal and it is a unicellular organism. It does not have distinct body organs for several functions. It is made up of only a single cell, and all the 5 steps of nutrition are completed in this cell. Amoeba takes the food inside its cell with the help of pseudopodia, and these are also called false feet because pseudopodia are helpful in locomotion, ingestion of food, and ejection of food. So pseudopodia helps in multitasking. Alright, with the help of pseudopodia, amoeba covers the food and after that this food diffuses into its body cell. Okay. Next step, this is called ingestion, and the next step is digestion. In the cytoplasm of amoeba, there are digestive enzymes which enter into the food vacuole and convert the complex food material into simple substances so that amoeba can utilize it. After that, when the food is digested, this digested food is transferred throughout the cytoplasm so that whole amoeba body can utilize it. This process is called absorption. When the digested food material is utilized by amoeba, it grows in size. So this process shows assimilation because food is utilized here. After that, the pseudopodia opens at any end of the body cell and the undigested food material is thrown out from its body. This process is called egestion. Alright, now we will discuss nutrition in animals. It means nutrition in complex animals like human being. Here is the diagram of human digestive system. With the help of this diagram, we will come to know how human gets nutrition from the food. So simply, first step is ingestion. We take the food in our mouth, or it is called buccal cavity. Inside the buccal cavity there are salivary glands, tongue and teeth. Salivary glands produce a watery substance called saliva. With the help of our teeth we chew the food, and tongue helps in mixing the saliva with the food we have chewed, so that this food becomes soft and pulpy and we can easily swallow it. Next step is digestion. Remember one thing, digestion starts in our mouth. As I told you, the saliva which is produced by salivary glands has an enzyme called salivary amylase. It simply digests, or I can say that it converts starch into maltose. Both are the types of sugar, but starch is complex sugar and maltose is simple sugar. Okay, now the food passes into the food pipe. Okay, so what happens with the food in food pipe or esophagus? The muscles of food pipe has a tendency to contract or expand. The contraction and expansion of these muscles is called peristaltic movement, which enables the food to move towards the stomach. Okay, whenever you are standing or you are sitting, you are lying on the bed, or you are hanging upside down, in any position, whenever you just chew the food and swallow, it ultimately goes to the stomach due to peristaltic movement. And one more thing you have to remember, that there is no digestion takes place in the food pipe. Alright, now the food reaches to the stomach. Stomach is J-shaped, a pouch-like structure which is found on the left side in our abdomen. Under the chest cavity, the portion is called abdomen. Okay, so the inner lining of stomach releases gastric juice. Okay, this gastric juice has three substances. Number first is hydrochloric acid. Number second, an enzyme called pepsin. And number third is mucus. Okay, so HCl, hydrochloric acid, you know very well, it's a strong acid. The first function of hydrochloric acid is to kill the bacteria which might have entered in the stomach. And the second one is that HCl make the food acidic. It mixes up with the food which have transferred to the stomach and makes its medium acidic. The reason behind to make the food acidic is that the enzyme pepsin functions in acidic medium and it digests protein. Okay. Now, HCl is a strong acid. It can corrode our inner surface of the stomach. So, mucus protect the inner lining of the stomach so that there is no corrosion which leads to ulcer, the wounds inside the stomach. Okay, so mucus protect our stomach inner lining. Okay. Now the food passes from the stomach to the small intestine through an opening called sphincter. Okay, sphincter allow the food to enter in the small intestine in very small amount. Okay, and what happens with the food in the small intestine? There are two glands, liver and pancreas, helps in further digestion. The digestion which takes place in the stomach is not completed. Okay, the food is partially digested in the stomach. And remember one thing also, food stays 3 to 4 hours in our stomach. Okay, after that it reaches to the small intestine. So liver, which is the largest gland in our body, it produces bile. Okay, temporarily this bile is stored in the gallbladder. From the gallbladder it reaches to the small intestine, and bile has two functions. First function is to make the food alkaline. As you remember, the food was acidic in the stomach and now it should be alkaline so that the pancreatic juice can function, because pancreatic juice function in alkaline medium, not in acidic medium. Okay, and the second function of bile juice is the emulsification. What is emulsification? It is the process in which fats or lipids are converted into small pieces or small droplets. The second helpful gland is pancreas. Pancreas releases pancreatic juice and it has 3 enzymes. You have to learn their name: amylase, trypsin and lipase. Amylase helps in digestion of carbohydrate and convert it into glucose. Trypsin works on protein and it digests it into the amino acids. Amino acids are the digested form of protein. Okay, lipase converts the emulsified fats into fatty acid and cholesterol. Okay, so digestion is completed in the small intestine. No further digestion takes place in large intestine, rectum and anus, and also in the esophagus. I am repeating, in esophagus, large intestine, rectum and anus, there is no digestion takes place. The next process of digestion or nutrition is absorption. Remember, digestion is completed in small intestine, and also absorption also takes place in the small intestine. Okay, how? In the small intestine there are some finger-like projections, just like that. These finger-like projections are called villi. Okay, what's the need of villi inside the small intestine? To increase the surface area. The more surface area absorb more digested food. Okay, so these are connected with the blood vessels, capillaries, and as you know, in the capillary blood flows. Okay, so the food is absorbed in the blood through villi, and in which organ? In the small intestine. Okay, now the next step is assimilation. The food which is absorbed in the blood is transferred to the different cells in your body, each and every cell, so that they can use the digested food for gaining energy and repairing of cell, or we can say that in the cell division, okay, growth, maintenance. So these functions come in the category of assimilation. Okay, the last step is digestion. Let's continue where we were in the small intestine. The food is digested and absorbed in the small intestine. Now the digested food will enter in the large intestine. Remember one thing, small intestine is 6.5 meter long. Okay, and the large intestine is hardly 2.5 meter long, but still it is called a small intestine and it is called a large intestine because they are distinguished as small and a large intestine not based on their length but on their diameter. The diameter of large intestine is more than small intestine. Okay, the food reaches to the large intestine. What happens there? Villi are also present in the inner surface of large intestine, and what's their function? They absorb the water from the digested food. Okay, so after that, when the water is absorbed, now the digested food becomes solid. Okay, and it is stored in a pouch like a structure is called rectum. Rectum stored undigested solid waste material. There is also a sphincter between anus and rectum from which the food is passed outside the body from anus. The digestion is completed here. It means the nutrition is completed in the human body. Alright. Our next topic is respiration from the same chapter, life processes, and I will discuss it in the next video. Till then, keep learning,